Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, the 2020 celebration of the youth globally seeks to highlight the ways in which the engagement of young people at all levels is enriching national and multilateral institutions and processes, as well as drawing lessons on how their representation and engagement in formal institutional politics and other sectors can be significantly enhanced. Themed Youth Engagement for Global Action. That will be our focus on the program today. But let's first see what made the social media trends in the past week. Thank you for staying with us. Well, those were the trends in the past week, but you can be a part of the conversation. Just tweet at us at Channels TV, at Channels Beam, at Victor_MBIDI, and you can also use the hashtags International Youth Day 2020 as well as hashtag Channels Beam. But joining us today on the program, we have right here in the Lagos studio, Ilori Julius. He is a social activist working to improve the lives of underprivileged and vulnerable populations, particularly out-of-school children. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Fantastic. We also have joining us via Skype, Alexander Obichina. He is a renewable energy developer and CEO of ACOB Lighting Technology Limited. He is a graduate of Naval Guns Prize winner from Cardiff Met in the UK. Thanks for joining us on the program, Alexander.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's a pleasure to be here again.
You're welcome. We also have joining us via Zoom, Jude Feromi. He is a change maker at the African Leadership Institute, Pakati Initiative, which brings together youth-led organizations on the continent advocating and collaborating for youth inclusion in governance and politics. Jude, it's a pleasure to have you as well on the program.
Thank you very much, Victor. I'm glad to be here as always.
Indeed, you're welcome. Well, Julius kickstart this conversation for us. This year's Youth Day celebration,
Yeah.
We're looking at how young people can engage, to make global action.
Yeah.
That is not to say that young people, especially from Nigeria, are not making their mark on the international scene, but how can we break the barriers that exist presently, economic, religious, ethnic, and so many other things that are like a barrier now to other people who are yet to make those global mark globally?
All right. Thanks so much for that question. First of all, I just want to start by telling us why we celebrated International Youth Day. It's basically just to celebrate young people and also to mainstream their voices, their actions, their initiative, and also some of their equitable engagement. Just to, this year's International Youth Day focused on three major streams: local engagement at the national, which is more of policy making, and also at the global level. So if you ask me, I think this is a time for every young person in Africa and Nigeria to get involved, whether economically, socially, and or politically, because it's time for us to achieve global action. It means everybody must play their role. I mean, young people must play their role and also be actively involved at different levels, from the community to the global level.
So that active participation
Yeah.
is perhaps one of the reasons where you haven't seen that mark, especially in terms of numbers. And that's because there are so many barriers,
Yeah.
economic barriers, religious barriers, ethnic barriers. How can we break this down to give them that free playing ground?
Yeah, first of all, we need to understand what it means to be youth, what it means to engage young people in the process. I think, in my opinion, I feel making them part of the policy formulation. And one thing we can do is the government needs to come out to see how they can look out for young people who are doing amazing things, put them on the spotlight, let them be part of the policy making process, because you can't be making policy for me, 70-something-year-old man cannot be making policy for the youth, and you're not adding us to the system. You're not making us.
Some will argue that been there, done that. So a 77-year-old person
Yeah.
was once a young person. So
Yeah, I agree with you, but we are moving towards a new era of technology. Technology will be driving the scene, and it's important that young people who have this expertise, who have the experience, the exposure to be part of the discussion, the strategic conversations.
yeah, some old people are also playing in that technological space. Some would
Yeah.
argue, but let me just quickly bring in Alexander, who joins us via Skype from Abuja. Well, Alex, so the conversation is around, like you know very well, how young people can make their mark, play their own roles, and make that global mark. What is actually stopping young people from making that mark that we yearn so much to see, if any?
For me, as a person, the greater that I see, when you look at our own immediate environment, the greatly the challenge that we have faced, but in terms of social, economic, the prevalence of corruption, amongst other factors that have actually bedevil our development. But I think it's time for young people to take the initiative by being creative, notwithstanding the challenges that we have in our country, Nigeria today.
All right, Alex,
Because I
just
can tell you,
Alex, just hold it a bit. We really can't hear you. There's a bit of a glitch. Your internet is not as robust as it should be. So we'll just quickly move to Jude, who is also in Abuja, just like you, but he's joining us via Zoom. Jude, so we'll just answer the question for us. What are those barriers, apart from the ones that I mentioned earlier and also Alex made mention of, that are clipping the wings of young people trying to make a mark in their various endeavors?
I think that the answer to that question is based on two things. One is young people are already trying as much as possible in this current economic climate to make good for themselves. And you see that majority of young people are finding space in the technology space, in the technology sector, creating new capital, clean capital, like I like to call it. But it becomes very difficult to participate in governance and politics, largely because of the current political climate, which is what the electoral reforms, which I must, as a matter of obligation, make mention of in this show. And that's to say that there's a bill in front of National Assembly right now, sponsored by Senator Ofi Omagege and co-sponsored by Senator Abubakar Kyari, that puts forward reforms that allow young people to participate, so that parties, for example, can no longer impose huge fines as nomination forms that young people cannot afford. And that even when, for example, there is a cap on how much a party can charge for nomination fees, that's also affordable to young people and women inclusive, and young women inclusive rather. That's on the political side. There are a couple of other reforms that young people today, the electoral reform basically tackles these obstacles and these problems that hinder young people from participating in governance and politics in our country. On the economic side, right, you have a huge amount of obstacles that is facing the average young person. For example, the housing situation in this country is very, it's nothing to write home about, because you graduate as a young person, you get a job. The landlord says go and get an annual rent that you have to pay. In some instances, 2 years rent, right? Currently, you have 63.8% combined unemployment and underemployment rate amongst young people between the ages of 15 to 34. That's a lot of obstacles for you to face as a young person trying to thrive in the country. And you see a lot of these political and economic factors that hinder young person, it gives you the impression that being a young person in Nigeria is very, very, very hard. I was just reading a report recently that now puts, with the recent unemployment rate, it now puts Nigeria among the top 6 most miserable countries to be as a young person. Like, these are the obstacles. And so that I'm not just focusing on what the problems are, the solution is to begin to identify these obstacles and reform them through advocacy and young people participating in not just politics of elections, but politics of society, saying how do we govern our country? What are the laws that ensure that young people cannot participate in governance, and how do we remove them? How do we repeal the laws, for example, in that the current electoral reform, the current electoral amendment is trying to do? So these are.
Yeah, I mean, you were part of the. I mean, at least I knew that you vigorously campaigned for the Not Too Young to Run bill to pass and all of that. Isn't that a big isn't that like a beginning? Are we going to see more of stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. You saw, for example, Yihaga, which was the organization that led and brought together a lot of young people across the country to pass the Not Too Young to Run bill, is now also putting forward a new campaign called Fix Elections on electoral reforms. You have Center for Liberty that's also advocating for electoral reforms. My organization, Raising New Voices, is also doing electoral reforms. So it's like the next stage of reforms for young people in our country after the Not Too Young to Run bill is to focus on electoral reform advocacy. So you have the Not Too Young to Run bill giving young people the opportunity and removing that age barrier. Now you have political and economic barriers that you have to remove. The electoral reform does that.
So it's perhaps like a step-by-step movement, right?
Change does not come wholesale. And this is one thing I think President Obama has said over and over again to young people. Change in societal change does not come wholesale. It comes in retail, bit by bit. So we've done Not Too Young to Run bill. We focus on the electoral reforms. Hopefully we get that done at the end of this year. And then we begin to go ahead to political party reform, internal democracy, which is the next after this.
Okay, let me just hold you there for a bit. Let me come back to the studio. We still have Julia. So earlier, you were talking about how technology can actually, be one of the players or one of the drivers of, young people doing a lot of stuff. And of course, I remember you were one of those who actually built sites during the COVID-19 to ensure that people on the streets or young people or students, could be able to still keep up in terms of reading. But one of the things that has come to the fore in terms of technology is the fact that broadband penetration is yet to get to the nooks and crannies of the country. So are we pushing any reforms in that respect?
I think we're pushing reforms, but one thing we just have to understand that is a problem, and the government must identify that problem, because there's little young people can do with their little resources. Like you asked me the other time that what are the challenges we're facing. There's so many challenges like unemployment, like we're facing a global pandemic, which has increased the rate of unemployment. So many people are out of their jobs and they are still trying to survive. So many people are going through a lot of emotional trauma. Like if you ask me, and look at it, let's look at that as challenges they're facing. Now look at the problems of technology. We are still transitioning to that era of doing things online, connecting online. It's a bit difficult. So the government needs to identify this as a major challenge, and they create that enabling environment for young people to innovate, for young people to create solutions and be supported, in a more constructive way rather than just hijacking the platform. Like support them, give them resources, and make them do well with whatever they are doing.
Yeah. So in terms of support, I mean, I understand we have quite a number of technology hubs, at least one in each geopolitical zone of the country. We also have a technology university and all of that. How much more support can young people get apart from supports like this?
Yeah, firstly, they need to create more resource in terms of financial resource, maybe grants or something to support innovations, ideas, policies that support that innovation, not just by creating something and it's not supported, policies that support people, young people that are coming up with ideas so that they can do better with whatever they are coming up with. And another thing I think is the ability to give them that freedom to penetrate into the various communities by, I know the state, for example, Lagos State government has so many youth centers where I think there are not so much computers in that youth center, but if the government can, establish those youth centers with resources, computers, internet access, it makes what you're doing very easy. You can just set up an hub in that place, and those who don't have access to electricity at home, internet, can go into that place, sign up and use the internet.
So it's good that you made mention of the Lagos State government, because there is this recent law on taxation for companies. I mean, how do you see that coming?
Yeah, in my perspective, I feel that is coming at the wrong time.
Okay, I mean, I'm just so sorry to cut you
Alright.
short, but we'll come back in just a moment so that you continue on that regulation by the Lagos State government. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our studio guests as well as the others on Zoom as well as on Skype. But just before we went on break, Julius Ilori was trying to give us his thoughts on the regulations, on taxations on some of the businesses in Lagos State. Yeah. So you said before we went on the break that it is coming at the wrong time. Why?
Yeah, I think the government, they are trying to generate revenue. They're trying to, make more income for the state government, which is something that is good because without the tax, they can provide some social amenities. But the truth is, they need to understand that these businesses are run by young people. So many young people have switched their business down, to start running taxifiers, Uber, and the likes. So it's important they create more enabling environment for these guys to thrive. Right now, the unemployment rate is high, and you are putting so much, pressure on these guys. I know they all agreed, to go ahead with the plan, but the truth is, so many young people suffer from it because at the back end, people who are, taking this taxes, taxifier, paying for this thing will be the ones to pay money right now, and that brings so much hardship to the land and to young people.
Indeed. Well, let me quickly go back to Skype on where we have Alex Obichina. Alex, thanks for coming back again. So a lot of water has gone under the bridge, since the program started. But let me just come to, in terms of your experience in the UK, you've won grants in the UK, in the US, and pretty much some other countries of the world. So where do you see young people in all those places you've been to and in Nigeria collaborating? What is there any promising, what would I put it now? Like, is there any promise of say young people in Africa and other parts of the country collaborating to do great things together?
Yes, I can tell you that the opportunities are very huge, and I am a living testimony as a young person who have also explored that opportunities of networking and sharing experience with other youths across the world to leverage and build capacity. So what I say to young people is, do not just sit on your oars, hoping that government policies one day will be better enough. Take the initiative, take the lead, and creativity, innovation in your little ways, and any other thing that you can do would serve a great deal. I would say entrepreneurship remains a great force that is actually ruling the world now. And my message to young people is, why sit back? If there's a very little you can do, I know it takes a whole lot, of resources, it takes a whole lot to implement. But I can tell you, looking at a whole lot of sectors, even within the challenges, as much as we shout that COVID-19 is here, there are still people who are breaking even. There are still people who are doing very well. So it depends on the space and wherever you are. I think that over the years, there has been a lot of emphasis on government. I was privileged to also work in a government institution at some point, but today I find myself in the private sector, creating value as well. So I say to young people, take the initiative, take the lead, be creative in your way, be entrepreneurial in your way, think of innovative ideas that can, serve as a major, huge catalyst towards solving a lot of problems within your immediate environment. And I tell you, the sky will be your limit.
Okay, Viral, I'll come back to you shortly. But let me bring this back to you. Looking at the, partnerships and collaborations in terms of maybe technology or any other aspects, what have we been able to achieve, in fact, with the little that we've done so far?
Yeah, I think we are doing our best, and the truth is so many young people are creating change out there. So many young people are creating responses to problems in their various communities. The partnership thing is really working in Nigeria. I think that's one of the major SDG goals that is working for us, especially among young people. But one thing I just want to say, for us to examine is how the media has painted the stories of young people, how the media has painted the story of average Nigerian. We tend to talk about the bad side of the Nigerian youth, where we have some other young people who are creating change, who are making massive impact. I know so many young people who I have collaborated with who are creating amazing changes in their various communities. I know someone in Makoko who is offering free education to young people. I know Kayode Alabi who is creating solutions for teachers. I know Elizabeth who is helping people who have been rape victims, help them get support. And I know so many young people are doing amazing stuff, but the media is not helping us to put this spotlight on them so they can catalyze and get more opportunities internationally. Because when they see you as a young person that okay, you are known in your country, you attract more opportunities. But when you are just there and all they see is cybercrime, Nigeria cybercrime, and the stories that the way they paint us out there is really bad, and it has limited the collaborations internationally, limited the collaborations even locally, and the trust level is very low, for you to commit resources into an average Nigerian.
All right, let's quickly to Jude, who is joining us via Zoom. Jude, interesting points that Julius is raising in terms of collaborations because of the perhaps bad press that we have. But do you think that is a major contributor to one of the reasons why these collaborations are not happening? Quickly, as we wind down.
I absolutely agree with Julius because while I was outside the country as well, I tried as much as possible to initiate a few things, and there is that brand of being a Nigerian that you get every time you're saying we have Nigerians who can do this, we have young Nigerians who are doing this. So I would definitely agree with Julius about that. What I would also now say is to corroborate his point. Is that there is a need for young Nigerians to begin to, they say charity begins at home. Look at our macroeconomic framework in this country, and the average Nigerian, the average young Nigerian does not have economic justice in this country, right? There is no economic plan that caters to. In fact, let me say this again. When National Bureau of Statistics released the recent unemployment figures, right? What someone mentioned on Twitter and said, you have to win. Empower, you have borrowers program, you have YIN or Youth Innovations program, and a couple of all these programs that the government has set forward as give the result of
Jude, we can't hear you, but also at the same time, it's about time that where we wrap up. So hopefully we get to continue this conversation another time. But I have to say thank you for joining us on the program, as well as Alexander Obichina. Thanks as well also for joining us on the program today. Both of you for sharing your thoughts. You joined us via Skype and Zoom from the nation's capital, Abuja. Julius as well, thanks as well for joining us in the studio and sharing your thoughts. Hopefully all of these things that you raised would be taken care of, and we'll see more youths out there making the global action. But that's where we are at the moment. We'll take a look at the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week.
This week's most viewed video sees a new entrant. In 5th place is the parade by police of suspected bandits terrorizing southern Kaduna. It is followed by the tension in Ward 10 in Edo State as Governor Gordon Obaseki visits and alleges that the opposition plans to attack.
With your own power, with the power of your PVC, we will show him that he is not God.
Governor of Rivers State Nyesom Wike describing former APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole and Edo APC governorship candidate Osageze Yamu as ingrates.
Obaseki is not an ingrate anywhere. There's no way you can test ungratefulness in him. Rather, the people who are ingrates are Oshomole and his boy, Eze Yamu.
After a long hiatus, the video of the arrest of alleged internet fraudster Hush Puppy in Dubai by the police returns to the charts in 2nd place. The attack on Governor of Borno State's convoy during a visit to Bama retains the top spots of the most viewed videos in the past week.
And that's the program this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.